The Chris Watts case is one of the most shocking instances of family annihilation in modern U.S. history. On August 13, 2018, Chris Watts, a seemingly devoted father and husband, murdered his pregnant wife, Shanann Watts, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, in Frederick, Colorado. The crime shocked the nation, not only for its brutality, but because it contrasted starkly with the picture-perfect family image Shanann had shared on social media. On the morning of the murders, Shanann, who was 15 weeks pregnant with their son, Nico, returned home from a work trip. An argument ensued between the couple about Chris wanting a divorce, during which Chris strangled Shanann to death. He then transported her body in his truck, along with his two daughters, to an oil site owned by his employer. There, he smothered both Bella and Celeste before disposing of their bodies, placing the girls in oil tanks and burying Shanann in a shallow grave nearby. Initially, Chris played the part of the grieving husband and father.
We just want to see if you left a note or anything inconspicuous, something like that.
All
right. We'll wait for our sergeant to get here, but
okay.
We'll grab that. You don't plan on going anywhere, right?
No, I was just going to walk around the neighborhood just to honestly clear my head.
He appeared on local news, pleading for the safe return of his family. However, inconsistencies in his story and unusual behavior raised suspicions. When interrogated by police and confronted with evidence, including a failed polygraph test, Chris confessed to the murders.
I'm shaking. I think both my kids are blue and they're gone. I'm just like blind, I'm not that person, like, I'm just like, she hurt my kids. Like I did the same thing to her.
It later emerged that Chris had been having an affair with a coworker and saw his wife and children as obstacles to starting a new life. Prosecutors portrayed him as cold and calculating, willing to destroy his family to pursue his selfish desires. The shocking nature of the crime and the tragic details, such as Bella reportedly pleading for her life, deeply horrified the public. In November 2018, Chris Watts pled guilty to multiple counts of first-degree murder to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. The case has since been the subject of numerous documentaries and true crime discussions, sparking debates about domestic violence, narcissism, and the hidden cracks behind seemingly perfect lives. Today, Chris Watts remains in prison, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can exist behind closed doors. The Laci Peterson case captivated the nation in 2002 when Laci, a 27-year-old pregnant woman, disappeared from her Modesto, California home on Christmas Eve. Her husband, Scott Peterson, claimed she went missing while walking their dog. Suspicion quickly fell on Scott due to his inconsistent behavior and the revelation of his extramarital affair with Amber Frey, who later cooperated with authorities. In April 2003, the bodies of Laci and her unborn son, Connor, were found in San Francisco Bay, where Scott had been fishing the day she disappeared. Forensic evidence and Scott's actions, including selling Laci's car and planning to flee, led to his arrest and eventual conviction. In 2004, Scott Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder for Laci and second-degree murder for Connor. He was sentenced to death, though his sentence was overturned in 2020 and replaced with life in prison without parole. The case remains a high-profile example of media coverage influencing public perception of criminal trials. The Travis Alexander case gained national attention after his brutal murder in 2008 in Arizona. Alexander, a motivational speaker and salesman, was found dead in his bathroom, having suffered multiple stab wounds, a gunshot to the head, and a slit throat. His ex-girlfriend, Jodi Arias, was arrested and charged with his murder. During her trial, Arias claimed she killed Alexander in self-defense after he allegedly became abusive. However, prosecutors argued it was a premeditated act fueled by jealousy after Alexander ended their relationship and began seeing other women. The trial, marked by graphic evidence and Arias's inconsistent testimonies, captivated the media. In 2013, Arias was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. The case remains infamous for its shocking details, the sensationalized trial, and the intense public scrutiny surrounding both Arias and her relationship with Alexander. The Gabby Petito case captivated the nation in 2021, after the 22-year-old was reported missing during a cross-country road trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. Gabby was last seen in late August, in Wyoming's Grand Teton National Park. Her disappearance gained widespread attention after Brian returned home to Florida alone, refusing to cooperate with authorities. Public interest grew as Gabby's social media presence portrayed an idyllic life, contrasting with emerging reports of tension in the couple's relationship. On September 19th, Gabby's remains were found in Wyoming, and her death was ruled a homicide by strangulation. Meanwhile, Brian vanished shortly after being named a person of interest. His remains were discovered in a Florida nature reserve in October, along with a notebook in which he confessed to killing Gabby. The case sparked national discussions about domestic violence, the media's focus on missing white women, and gaps in police intervention. Gabby's story continues to raise awareness about the warning signs of abusive relationships.